Conspiracy theories, eh? Wait till you get a load of this.
Hello, and welcome to Cracked Sisters Conspiracies. We're a podcast that covers conspiracy theories, mysteries, and all of our spooky shit. My name's Jackie.
And I'm Cassandra.
And we are Said Sisters.
I needed another pillow for my high chair.
We are in Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas. A woman in the elevator declared it as soon as she got here. She said it was necessary.
We've had an interesting hour thus far. We had a very aggressive and racist Uber driver.
He was interesting. I legit was concerned for the first time ever traveling without a man.
Yeah. He wasn't like aggressive towards us,
but
just weird. And then he's like, do you guys need alcohol? We'll stop off. I think he just wanted something. So we did. And then he like got really angry at the cashier and like was like, take a picture. You got a problem? And Cassie's like, I'd want to stop this conversation.
I mean, he was being valiant in the moment because I was looking.
He was trying to look out for you.
He was trying to get me what I wanted. And yeah, apparently was ready to jump over the counter and rip this woman's head off.
But he did.
No, it wasn't. And then, yeah, he immediately started on a racist rant.
Yeah, once he got in the car. Okay, bud.
But
interesting.
He was very nice to us.
He was, yeah.
So, but yes, we're in Vegas just for the night. We're doing an overnight suicide run. We didn't drive, we flew.
Yeah, we got now Alex is alive. We got a lot planned in a very small amount of time.
Because that's how we do it. We can't be cool about anything.
So today we are going over technically something that we've already recorded, but I didn't like my version of it. It's like such a big story.
Did I derail you?
You didn't, but your energy was shit, to be fair.
What?
Like listening back, I'm like, this kind of sucks anyway, but I didn't like my presentation of it.
Okay.
Because the way I do my notes is in no particular order. So technically I did part 2 stuff first. So when I said, hey, let's record part 1, I actually wasn't ready, even though I thought I was. And then, so as I'm talking to you, I know it in my head because I've been researching it for weeks, but it was very apparent that I didn't do a good job telling you who these people were.
I mean,
giving you any backstory.
together.
So I'm like, I don't like this. So listening back, I figured since I put in I have 32 pages of notes. Since I put in
32 pages,
so much effort, I wanted to get it right. So I just figured I would trash the first one and do it again today.
That works.
It won't be super long, I don't think.
Oh, that's fine.
Minus the 30. Normally they're like 9.
Even then, mine are usually, I'm sure you can tell, are like 3 or 4 pages.
Yes.
If I'm really excited about it, maybe 5.
Yeah.
But
So today we are going to go over the killing of JonBenét Ramsey.
yes. And for those of you who are watching on the video, we look like bougie bitches because our hotel room doesn't have normal fucking glasses.
Yeah. There's no coffee cups?
If we want $16 coffee, we're staying at the Mandalay Bay where you get nothing. And there's, let's see, there's a Temptation Lovers Kit for $70. I don't think we'll be using that. But yeah, so we're drinking Jack and Coke and rum and Coke out of wine glasses.
Yeah.
I like how you put the little accent over JonBenét. And I also didn't realize JonBenét was one word.
Yes.
I thought it was JonBenét.
No, it's one word.
Okay. I assumed it was.
I will give you more backstory this time.
I assumed it was a first name, middle name situation.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into it. So JonBenét Ramsey. No. You got me on that. JonBenét Ramsey and Patricia, better known as Patsy Ramsey, they met and got married on November 5th, 1980, and they had their first child together named Burke Ramsey on January 27th, 1987. The couple then had their second child, JonBenét Ramsey, on August 16th, 1990. And as you mentioned, they kind of wanted, I guess they didn't care about their first kid, but they wanted their second kid to be named after the two of them. So JonBenét is John Burke. And then her middle name is Patricia, which is Patsy's name. So they just
His name is JonBenét.
That's what I said.
You said John Burke.
JonBenét. Anyway. So yeah, they just basically smushed their two names into their daughter and they didn't care about their kid.
That sounds
their
really
son.
aggressive.
So shortly after the birth of JonBenét, the family moved to their now infamous, roughly 7,300 square foot home.
7,300?
Yeah, see, I didn't give you an adequate backstory last time.
No. Okay, because you mentioned that they were like loaded.
Yeah, I didn't go into it. So yeah, so it's 749 15th Street in Boulder, Colorado.
Have you looked it up on Zillow to see what it's worth?
It sold recently for a couple mil.
Okay.
Maybe like 12 or something. Like a good amount of money.
Not a couple.
It was a lot. I don't know. Okay, so for work, John was president and chief executive officer of a computer software company called Access Graphics.
Did he lose all of his money when the bubble burst?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
In 1996, Access Graphics grossed over $1 billion with a B.
Ooh.
And he was named Entrepreneur of the Year by Boulder Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
So like he had a lot of money. The family had a lot of money. I don't think it really emphasizes.
And he sounds to be notable in his community.
Yeah, it's very, yeah. Patsy was very involved beauty pageants throughout her life, and she won the Miss West Virginia beauty pageant in 1977.
Does she have hair up to here?
She had big hair, yeah.
Okay.
Patsy was a stay-at-home mom, and due to her love of beauty pageants, she wanted to bring her daughter in, and some say forced, some say encouraged her daughter to get into the pageant world.
No, never.
JonBenét performed in her first pageant in 1995, 1 month before her 4th birthday.
Oh my God.
So she was 3. She has been in 9 pageants, and she won 7 of them, including America's Royal Miss, Little Miss Colorado, Colorado State All-Star Kids Cover Girl, and National Tiny Miss Beauty.
Have you ever seen Little Miss Sunshine?
I fucking love
I love
movie.
that movie.
I cry with laughter every time she does her performance.
That is the only acceptable way to have your child participate in a beauty pageant, by letting them be 100% authentically them.
That is literally my favorite scene of that
love
movie.
it so much.
It's such a
my
movie.
God.
So though JonBenét did have a pageant coach, Patsy was a big help and very involved just because 1, she didn't have a job, and 2, she just really enjoyed.
She was a momager.
She was. She really enjoyed it. Many people suggested that JonBenét was basically Patsy's alter ego because she got into the pageant life when she was older. She didn't get to start as a baby.
So she's living vicariously.
100%.
Yeah. That poor girl.
Yeah. And then if you think of the show Toddlers and Tiara, that's basically JonBenét's life. She had the big blonde hair, lots of makeup. She looked like a 30-year-old trapped in a 4-year-old body.
So unsettling.
It is. It creeps me the fuck out. As it should anybody. I don't know why people are okay with that.
No.
So this case was quickly spread throughout the media, not only due to the age and the subject matter, which we will go over.
Okay.
But also greatly because of a photographer named Randall DeWitt Simmons.
That name didn't come up at all.
Okay. Randall had taken many professional pictures of her. He was a photographer. And he did a lot of her pageant career. He made her portfolio. And he took absolutely no time at all when the news broke that she had been brutally murdered. He went to the first news source and he sold her portfolio for $7,500, which means why?
Shit.
Yes, which is why when this case broke, and if you think back
it's
on
all
it,
the glam
it's all the glam shots because they didn't have pictures of her. But this shithead's like, I have what you want. Pay me a good amount of money, and I will sell it to you.
Yeah, where's my phone? Because there's this one particular picture that I always think of.
Yeah, I feel like I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. We'll keep talking and I'm going to look it up.
Say, fun fact about this man, Randall DeWitt Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
In 2019, he was arrested and charged with 15 counts of first-degree encouraging child sex abuse, aka child porn.
Oh.
And he was convicted and sentenced to 10 years.
Oh, only 10 years?
Yeah.
I went to go look up a specific picture, and all of the pictures that are coming up of her, I am just horrified looking at.
Yeah.
Like, that is not a child. That is a full-grown woman.
I know, and it's so creepy to look at.
It really is. Also, I wouldn't even know how to get my hair to do anything.
I know. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the couple days of leading up to Christmas.
Okay.
So on December 22nd, 1996, JonBenét performed Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree at a local mall where she fake played a saxophone.
It's weird.
I think there's a saxophone in the
song.
Why
do you need a prop like that? Just dance and be pretty.
And everyone really enjoyed it.
Sure they did, perverts.
Okay. I meant like moms.
I mean, like, oh,
like a mom would be like, oh, you're a cute kid. But you're right. There's probably perverts. On December 23rd, so the next day, shut the fuck up. The Ramseys hosted a Christmas party at their home.
Okay.
According to the housekeeper, which is not technically a credible source because technically many people thought she killed JonBenét. I don't go into that because as you will see, there's so many other rabbit holes I went down. So take everything that has to do with the housekeeper with a grain of salt.
Okay.
But the housekeeper reported that during this Christmas party, or right before, there was a small argument between Patsy and JonBenét because Patsy wanted her to wear this like colorful red turtleneck outfit to match Patsy's mom's outfit to be like very presentable.
Okay.
And JonBenét didn't want to because she's a 6-year-old and they don't want to wear what you want them to wear.
Express herself.
Exactly. So there was a little bit of an argument about it. JonBenét ultimately got her way and she wore whatever she wanted to
She
wear.
looked like Adam Sandler. That's what my child looks like.
She looked like Adam Sandler, but so there were about 30 people who attended the Ramseys' Christmas party, including friends Fleet and Priscilla White and their 2 children, and then Glenn and Susan Stein. I think I'm going to go with Stein, along with their son.
Mm-hmm.
So it was reported that during the party, JonBenét had been crying and she made a comment that she didn't feel pretty anymore.
Aww.
Yeah, which is very sad, especially as like a pageant. She's very beautiful as a 6-year-old.
But whatever. I mean, as a 6-year-old, you shouldn't even be thinking about how
you look.
Present to other people.
Yeah, I agree.
Shame on her mom. That's all her mom.
I agree. Another strange occurrence happened that night during the Christmas party.
Okay.
So Fleet White, one of the Ramseys' close friends, he had been drinking, just like everyone I'm sure
it's
has.
a holiday party.
That's what you're supposed to do. And he decided that he was going to use the Ramseys' home phone to make some calls to ensure that his elderly mother got her medication, whether he was renewing her prescriptions, calling in the prescriptions, calling someone to pick it up. I don't know why he chose this venue to do this.
And he's probably racking up like local long distance calls and shit.
But
like,
they're rich as shit.
I know, but that's why he took advantage of it.
They're also rich. They live like in the neighborhood.
Okay.
But what happened when he was doing this is he accidentally called 911.
How do you... I know we talked about this, about possibly dialing 9 to get an outside line kind of thing, but I feel like that would be very deliberate. I don't know.
Yeah, so...
What phone number starts with 1? If you do 9, 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
But
6,
if you're
7.
drunk and you go 9, 1, did I already hit 1? 1, and then you can't dial out again. So we didn't mention it because that was in the first version of this recording, but sometimes depending on the house, you have to dial 9 in order to get an outside line. Some is 9, then 1, then the area code. So it's presumed, if it's innocent, that he was drunk and just accidentally misdialed.
Potentially excusable, but still shady.
Once he realized that he called, he just hung up on them, which will bring police out to your house. They'll call back, and if no one answers, they send an officer out just to do a check to make sure everything's okay.
Okay.
So police arrived, and some sources say that Susan Stein was the one that answered the door. Other sources say it was just random people at the party that answered the door, but it was not John nor Patsy.
It was not the homeowners. Okay.
Which it should be. And basically, whoever it was said, sorry, it was a misdial. The officers could hear and see that there was a party going on. And the person's like, have a good day. And the officer left.
Oh, okay.
Some people are like, that's suspicious because the officer should have gone in and they should have checked. But that's weird. If you're having a party and someone butt dials or your kid gets I used to call 911 all the time.
If there's no legitimate, reason for it.
Exactly. It happens all the time.
Like if you heard blood curdling screams in the background.
Or it was dead silent and a person opened the door. Sorry, it was an accident.
Or if it's like partially open. Like there would be ways that it would be sus, but if it's very apparent that, there was a party, I would be more upset if, the police came in.
Exactly. And they crashed the party. A good chunk of the information that I just mentioned, I found from a Redditor called Bonsai Bobby. This story is ridiculous around Reddit. Like it is as you can imagine. So there's
so many holes.
And they've done a lot of research. So I actually do reference a lot of Redditors in this because they took the time and I'm stealing their content. So now we're going to discuss Christmas evening.
Okay.
The Ramseys all went to a Christmas party held at Fleet and Priscilla White's house.
So this is Christmas evening, like Christmas Day happened.
And now it's the night.
Okay, so
it's the
Christmas
25th.
Eve. Got it.
Correct. Okay. So they had a party on the 23rd that they hosted. 2 days later, on Christmas night, they went to the White's house because they were now hosting a party.
Okay.
There is almost zero information about anything having to do with this party, when the Ramseys left, when they came home. It's very hush-hush. No one's really talked about it. But what we do know is that at some point, the Ramseys left. They made 2 stops at friends' houses along the way to drop off Christmas presents.
Sure.
During this time, JonBenét fell asleep in the back seat, as kids do.
Yeah.
Once they got home, John picked her up and carried her upstairs and put her to bed.
So one of my favorite ASMR things that I watch, it's called like Nighttime Car Ride, where you close your eyes, you're disgusting, and they like flash a light in front of it. So it simulates like the street lights. And so I will knock out to that. That it makes me feel like I'm, a kid.
Dude, I get into a car, I'm out instantly.
Really?
Cars make me so sleepy.
And cars make me nervous, and I'm too anxious that whoever's driving is going to crash the car because I have control issues.
Oh my God. Okay, so now we're going to talk about December 26th, 1996.
Ow! Okay. So the day after Christmas.
This is the day where it all went down.
Okay.
So Patsy had woken early because the family had planned a trip to go to their house in Michigan later that day.
Seems a little sus that you would go party the night before you have to get up super early to do anything.
Well, I don't know what time they got home. It could have been 9 o'clock for all I fucking know.
Okay, that's true.
In my head, it's super late, but I really have no idea. And no one seems to. So she said she woke up at around 5 a.m., was kind of dilly-dallying, and then she decided to go downstairs. And as she was walking down the stairs, she noticed 3 pieces of paper laid out on one of the steps. She goes, that's a little weird. She picked it up, read it, realized it was a ransom note, and started to scream.
Oh my God.
So John, her husband, wakes up, runs downstairs in his underwear, and is like, what the fuck's happening? And she goes, this is a ransom note. And so they go upstairs, they check JonBenét's room, they see that she's gone. They run into Burke's room to check if he's still there, which he is.
Sure.
He remains sleeping.
Okay.
And then they run downstairs, and then they're like, we need to call 911.
Oh, right. Just for those who are watching,
You cut yourself.
I drew blood. This hotel room is a disaster.
Goodness gracious.
I know.
So Patsy called 911 at 5:25 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Police arrived at their house approximately 3 to 7 minutes later, depending on which source you want to look at.
Normal response time?
I mean, it depends. So, because normally police don't respond from the station, they're driving around. So I could get there in 1 minute if I have
You
to
could be around the corner. Okay.
They usually send the closest officer. So, that's totally plausible.
Okay.
When police arrived, Patsy had been wearing the same clothes that she had worn the night before to the Christmas party. And her explanation was that she had already packed up most of her clothes and she had just woken up and that's what she planned to wear that second day.
I mean, that part's kind of weird. My initial thought was, bitch, got drunk at a party and passed out, which again would be totally plausible.
Her clothes,
But yeah. So
either one, I don't think it's super incriminating that she's wearing the same clothes that she was wearing the night before.
No, and in defense of that, like my child has gotten dressed in tomorrow's clothes to go to sleep in, so she could sleep 5 extra minutes instead of having to get up and get dressed.
I get it.
Yeah. So
okay, so now we're going to do a deep dive into the 911 call.
Mm-hmm.
This and the ransom note are like the 2 most referenced pieces of media from this case.
Okay.
They're so heavily scrutinized for good reason.
Yeah.
There's so much drawn from it because it's a lot. I know you've listened to it, but we're going to play it again and then I'm going to impose it in here. That way we can just kind of get our reactions to it.
Sure.
And then we will do a little role play because
Okay.
Sometimes it is kind of hard to tell what they're saying.
Yeah.
911 emergency. Police, what's going on? 555 Street. What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hi, please explain to me what's going on, okay? There's a note left in our daughter's gone. A note was left in your daughter's gone? How old is your daughter? 6 years old. Gone. 6 years old. How long ago was it? I don't know. I took down the notes. And my daughter, is it they who took her? What? Is it they who took her? I don't know. There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? It says SBTC. Victory. Please. Okay, what's your name? Are you Kathy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please. Okay, I'm sending one off the film, okay? Do you know how long she's been gone? No, I don't. Please, we just got out. Is she right here? Oh my God, please. Okay, well, is somebody? I am, honey. Please. Take a deep breath. Please, okay? Hurry. Kathy.
Okay, So you guys listen to that with us as well. Before we do the role playing, I know I've already asked you, but what was your first thoughts the first time you heard that?
My initial thought was, as a mom, she underreacted.
Yeah.
It does not feel like the genuine fear of your kid being gone. I would be more hysterical.
Yeah. And it sounds like she's trying to be hysterical.
Yes, like she's
not
trying to
faking
make
it.
herself sound worked up, but it's not coming across that way.
I agree. And that's what many people will have speculated. So you're going to be the 911 operator and I'm going to be Patsy.
911 emergency.
Hurry, we need an police.
What's going on?
755 15th Street.
What is going on there, ma'am?
We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
Explain to me what's going on, okay?
There's a note left and our daughter is gone.
A note was left and your daughter is gone?
Yes.
How old is your daughter?
She's 6 years old. She is 6 years old. And she's blonde.
How long ago was this?
I don't know. I just found a note and my daughter's missing.
Does it say who took her?
What?
Does it say who took her?
No, I don't know. There's a ransom note here.
It's a ransom note?
It says SBTC victory. Please.
Okay, what's your name? Are you
Patsy Ramsey. I am the mother. Oh my God, please.
I'm sending an officer over, okay?
Please.
Do you know how long she's been gone?
No, I don't. Please. We just got up and she's not here. Oh my God, please.
Okay.
Please send someone.
I am, honey.
Please.
Take a deep breath for me, okay?
Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Patsy. 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 Patsy.
Okay, so as I mentioned, many people have combed over that. I've listened to this freaking 911 call a million times. It's unexplained why in the beginning, and I cropped the 911 call so you don't hear the full ending, but there's this loud buzzing throughout it, and people don't know why, because they're like, it's just a landline to a police. It shouldn't be that kind of buzzing.
No distortion.
Yeah. So they don't know why it does that. So the biggest issue people have with the call is the first thing that Patsy says. It's hard to know for sure, but it sounds like she says, hurry, we need an police. Many people think that was a Freudian slip. She caught herself. And many people think she was going to say, hurry, we need an ambulance.
Yeah, because you wouldn't say, and police. You would say,
and it sounds like she said, and not a, because you would say a police.
Or the
police. And there's like this sharp inhale that you guys heard. And people think that's either her going, oh shit, I was just about to say something, or it's her realizing it and trying to buy a second to like realize that technically if it's been a kidnapping, you need police, you wouldn't need an ambulance.
Yeah.
So she's trying to kind of cover her
It
ass.
does come off as a moment of realization.
Yeah. Next, when the dispatcher asks what's going on, Patsy says, we have a kidnapping. Hurry, please.
That is weird. It sounds
It's so fucking weird.
It sounds super robotic,
Yes.
first off. And yeah,
it sounds like you're reading a script like you and I just did.
And we talked about this beforehand, but it's like, my kid is missing. My kid is gone. I can't find my kid.
Yeah, my kid's been kidnapped.
Or something else, not there's been a kidnapping.
Like that, yeah, that's so matter of fact. It's so devoid of emotion, and it's no human would like naturally talk like that.
No.
So that's a big issue that people have. Another phrase that she said that comes off as odd and very distant is when the dispatcher asks her name, she says, Patsy Ramsey, I am the mother. Naturally, you would say,
I'm her mom.
I'm her mom.
Yeah, something.
Like she like distances herself by saying, I am the mother, not I am her mother.
Yeah.
So that's very distancing language. So people are like, okay, that's weird. Like, why would you want to not associate with your daughter?
Right.
Another weird thing is Patsy actually hung up on 911 in a real life scenario, in which case your child is missing. You're going to hang on to every word that the police said, that the dispatcher said. You're going to wait for them to arrive. You're going to yell at them to have people go faster. So they think she tried to hang up, but for whatever reason, maybe the phone didn't hit the receiver properly.
And was it cradled, right?
So that's why you hear her say Patsy, 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 Patsy. They think that's when she hung up, but it didn't disconnect. So the dispatcher is typing. She's like, the call is still technically going, and then it goes dead because that's when it technically hung up.
Okay.
So the dispatcher thought that was very strange.
That is strange.
The 911 operator, she's a woman named Kimberly Archula. She mentioned that she thought she heard 3 faint voices.
Archuleta.
Whatever. Archuleta. in the background when Patsy thought that she hung up. So during that typing, it's very hard to hear. But if you guys go back and kind of listen, you can kind of hear something in the background.
Okay.
I couldn't really pick it up, but if you know it's going to be there, you can kind of hear it, I guess.
But I mean, she lives at home with her family. So other people being present, like in the background, is not super.
It's not, but for whatever reason, hearing that, it made the dispatcher super uncomfortable. She actually went to her supervisor and she said, I feel weird about this. I thought I heard a tone change.
Mm.
She goes, so Patsy, as you guys heard in that 911 call, she is hysterical, allegedly, and all this stuff. And when she thought she hung up, the dispatcher thought she heard her be calm and calm conversations in the background. So she's like, it sounds like she was playing a part, thought it was done, and now she gets to be the real Patsy.
Okay, that would be different if you heard other people and it was like the rest of the family who was also hysterical.
She said it was a total tone
Okay.
change. So she told her supervisor, you need to tell the detectives and the police that they need to listen to that call
And something is
at
up.
the end, because I heard something and I think they're going to hear it too. Allegedly, according to the Reddit post from user K_S_Morgan, the Boulder Police Department tasked the FBI and the Secret Service with enhancing the end of that audio to see if they could figure out the voices or if they could hear anything.
And this was in the 90s. So
96.
Okay, so technology wasn't as robust as what it is now.
And CSI lies to you, man. It's not that easy.
It really had me convinced that
I'm watching it now and I'm like, none of this is accurate.
I had an obsession with pipettes for so long.
The fuck is that?
For doing DNA analysis.
Okay, yeah.
Because of CSI.
Yeah, they fucked a lot of things up. But apparently the Secret Service and FBI says, we didn't hear anything.
Okay.
There's nothing there. Detective Trujillo, he made a comment that he didn't believe that the FBI or Secret Service actually put in the time because he didn't believe that they had the right equipment.
The resources.
So instead of them admitting that, hey, we're not maybe the best equipped for this, they just said, no, we couldn't find anything.
Sure, least path of resistance.
So several months later, Boulder Police Department reached out to the Aerospace Corporation in LA and they asked for help.
Okay.
Allegedly, through a series of electronic washings, technicians were able to reduce the background noise and they were able to identify 3 distinct voices conversing at the tail end of that 911 call.
Okay.
Several technicians listened to the enhanced audio and they made sure they followed procedure. So everyone was alone. They weren't told anything about it prior to going into it.
Okay.
They were given a piece of paper and a pen and they were told to write down if you hear anything, what you think you heard, and can you distinguish the gender of the person saying it.
Okay, so that way they're not influencing.
Exactly.
Another. Okay.
And then a Boulder police detective named Melissa Hickman, she was also brought in after they did their analysis because they thought they had something.
Oh, okay.
So they brought her in blind and said, you listen to it, our enhanced audio, and you let me know what you think if you heard anything. Afterward, all of them who listened compared notes and they all came up with hearing the same thing from the same genders.
Okay. You know what? Good on the dispatcher for going that little bit extra.
Yeah,
because a lot of the people that I have worked with over time, like, would not put in a little bit of extra work to get something done. If something was off, they would just like, oh, whatever, that's someone else's problem.
Yeah, but if it's cases with kids, usually people care more.
I would hope so.
They do. So this is reportedly what everyone thought they heard.
Okay.
They thought they heard a male voice who sounded angry saying, we're not speaking to you.
Was it older, younger? Were they able to distinguish like age maybe?
It was not characterized as young.
Oh, okay.
So older isn't implied, I guess.
Okay.
They then heard a female voice say either, help me, Jesus, or what did you do? Help me, Jesus.
Oh, okay.
And then they heard a young male say, well, what did you find?
Okay.
So people presume, based on that fact, that the angry male voice would be the dad yelling at Burke, presumably saying, we're not talking to you. The mom is losing her shit saying, help me, Jesus. Or what did you do to Burke? Oh, help me, Jesus.
And that would be the assumed 3 voices that you would hear in the house.
And then people think that Burke says, well, what did you find?
Oh.
But Patsy and John had told the police, we weren't talking to anyone. Burke was asleep. He remained asleep until police arrived. That's when John went upstairs and woke him up and they took him to the White's house.
Which that doesn't track, because if someone was missing from the house, why would you not immediately wake up everyone?
One of your kids is missing. You're going to put the other one in their bed when you have no idea if the intruder is still in the house.
There are so many parenting fails potentially that doesn't make sense to me.
But during a grand jury interview, Burke actually admitted that, no, I was in the kitchen. I was there for the 911 call. We did talk afterwards. And then Patsy and John, after the indictment, said, oh, no. Like, Yeah, what he said. And they changed their story completely because he was not. A 9-year-old isn't gonna, I mean, they might lie if they're coached, but he didn't know that he shouldn't say that. So now the parents are in like panic mode and they're, oh yeah, sorry. What he said's correct.
Yeah, and having a 9-year-old myself, you can't do anything without them calling you out on your shit immediately. And also, this bitch will still call me out for something that happened 6 years ago. So
I know, she's such a shit.
she's gonna go far in life.
Even if you're on the train, that Burke was not involved at all. Generally, people either think Burke was super involved, he did it, or he somehow should be involved in this. So whether you do or you don't,
Okay.
audio is proving the lie that Patsy and John lied. And why would you lie about
They're already not credible.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the enhanced version of this 911 call has been called into question because some people don't believe that enhancements are legitimate. They think they distort it and all this stuff. You can't just go enhance on a computer screen anymore. That's not real.
Enhance.
So technically this is, I know.
Sorry.
we do it all the time. So everything I said about this enhancement, take it as you will. Technically it's not legally, I don't think,
it's not admissible.
Okay. At least not as of right now. So now we're going to get into the ransom note. You're going to read what the ransom note says.
Oh,
and it's very long, everybody. So buckle up.
Oh, I have to read the whole thing? Oh, good God. Okay. Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We respect your business. That's not how you spell business.
I didn't write it that way.
Oh, okay. So this is like unedited.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's a flag right there already, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed. And if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate sized attaché to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. Ew. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier How many times are you going to say fucking early? Sorry. Delivery of the money and hence an earlier pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instruction will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for a proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as the police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. That's extreme. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. Well, what the fuck is a dog going to do? Okay. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. Well,
just read the note.
I'm sorry. The commentary. You can't just go into a bank and ask for that much cash.
Cut it after.
If the money is in way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned, we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It's up to you now, John. Victory. SBTC.
So that is the ransom note.
Jeez Louise.
As I mentioned, it was laid out on the stairs. It is handwritten and it is 3 pages.
Uncalled for. First off.
So just like the 911 call, there's so many fucking things in this note that people are like, nope, that's fucking weird. That's not legitimate. I got fucking comments.
I took so much issue with like every other sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
I hated it. I would not take that person seriously. Sorry.
Exactly. So real quick, before we do a deep dive into the note, I just want to kind of talk about the floor plan of the house. Because as I mentioned, the note was laid out on the stairs. And this is important because I will upload this picture to Patreon. But basically, it is a layout of the
giant fucking mansion.
Big, and it's old school. So it's not an open concept. There's lots of doors and walls.
Very compartmentalized.
So basically, what you do is you walk into the house and you're in the foyer. Then there's a living room off to your left. And if you continue straight, there's a staircase to your right,
Okay.
and then that leads you into the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you continue through the kitchen straight, you can veer slightly and go into the study, or you can turn right and find a second spiral staircase.
Okay. And so like deep back in the house.
Very deep in the house.
Okay.
This house is laid out super weird. Unless the person intimately knows the Ramseys' day-to-day life and how they do stuff inside of the house, it is presumed that if you were a kidnapper and this was your first time entering the house, you see the stairs off to your right after the foyer, you would think that's how I get up and down the stairs, and that's where I would leave the note.
I've only been in a handful of houses that have more than one set of stairs.
I don't think I've ever
That
been
would
in one.
not be a conclusion that I would jump to, that there would be another,
And wouldn't you know it, the Ramseys predominantly use the spiral staircase.
Yeah, because that's the one closest to the kitchen. That's the living spaces. Like, I don't like any 90s like sitcom that you've seen. There's always a staircase leading in
right to the front door.
Yeah. And so like that's kind of what I was envisioning with the floor plan. Because they have the one right by the front door, but you always see people coming down the one into the kitchen or whatever.
So technically it was laid out, the note was laid out on the spiral one, which is the one that the Ramseys use. And unless the kidnapper had intimate knowledge or it was someone in the house.
Because why would you go
wouldn't
all
put it
the way
there.
back there?
Exactly. As I mentioned, ransom note, handwritten, 3 pages long, super fucking wordy, super stupid, and it's very unconvincing when you listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, to the fucking point, first off.
I did a deep dive. There's a website called statementanalysis.com. They do a deep dive into every single line of the ransom note. It's super great, you guys. I will put the link in Patreon as well in case you wanted to check it out, because I don't go over everything, but I do go over a good amount of it.
Sure.
So some things that they picked up on from the note are the quote, "We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction."
Yes.
I don't know what that means. Google couldn't tell me what that means. But it's presumed that the kidnapper is trying to say that they are not from the U.S.
They're trying to deflect and point attention elsewhere.
But a foreigner doesn't say I'm a foreigner.
No, they say this is for X country. Insert name here.
They would want it to be known.
They want to
usually
take credit.
They want to
for
take credit for it. They wouldn't say I am foreign. They would say I'm from Brazil or fucking whatever. Like they would say it. They wouldn't like shy away from it.
Our Uber driver might say that they're
He
foreign.
was fucking weird. That's true. Also, they said that we are a small foreign faction. If you are writing a ransom note, you are the big bad wolf. Why would you ever describe yourself as small? That could be presumed as weak, or there's only one of you. Like that's stupid. A person wouldn't say that. They want to sound big and bad.
Yeah, the optics are very important in a situation like that. You need to dominate and show that you are in control and you have the power.
In the first paragraph of the note, because it's many paragraphs long, the kidnapper misspells, which you caught, business, and they also misspell possession.
And there was also some other like things in there. I'm like,
so those are pretty regular words that people use. I recently learned how to spell business. So that,
did you know that it did not have a Z in it?
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out what went where. Now it's bussiness.
Business.
It's bussiness.
Okay, there you go.
So that's how I know how to spell it. But otherwise, generally, if you know how to spell that, that's pretty good. But this person doesn't know how to spell that, yet they had perfect grammar throughout the whole entire rest of for the most part.
For the most part.
And they knew how to say and correctly spell attaché. And that's just like the weirdest fucking thing. So people think
that's
that
a rich person word.
It is, right? So people think that in the beginning they were trying to sound like a dumb foreigner. They were misspelling common words and all this stuff. But because it's so fucking long, sometimes you forget. If it's fake, you forget that you're faking it and you're going to naturally kind of go into your normal speech, which is why they ended up getting super fancy at the end.
Yeah. And like I had to Google what the word attaché
is. It like a bag?
So that's my assumption.
Or carrying device.
So
I actually read it in my book today and I started laughing.
That is funny. The first definition is a person on the staff of an ambassador, typically with specialized areas of responsibility, or the North American meaning, because it's a French word, is it's a short for attaché case, which I assume is
attaché
like
case was in my book,
like a suitcase. Yeah. So I think a duffel bag or something like that. But anywho,
so that was fucking weird. The sentence, quote, "You will withdraw $118,000 from your account and." Quote, "make sure you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank," are both super fucking weird.
I mean, the amount is super weird.
So let's get into that. Normally, minimum, you're asking for $1 million.
Go big, go home.
People 7 mil. Because they have so much fucking money. His company is worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
They have
He's
a
the
fucking
CEO.
He has they have a Michigan house. Like, that's a lot. You could ask for so much more money than $118,000.
Yeah.
Also, that raised a lot of red flags because that happens to be the almost exact amount that he got for his Christmas bonus the previous year.
Right.
So people are like, it's fucking weird. And you had mentioned that sometimes like it's a proud moment. You might tell your family like, oh, I've been waiting on my bonus. I got this amount. So your immediate family might know because it's cool.
Yeah.
But generally the general public would not know that amount.
Correct. And then I took issue with the fact that they requested essentially small bills.
Yeah, that was such so long.
Well, and generally a bank is not going to have that on hand. You typically have to call and make an arrangement for that kind of money to be made available.
Did go and figure this out, the money, but we never hear about that again. Also, the kidnapper specified you'll pull it out of your account, which was very strange. Why would you care where you're getting the money from as long as it gives you the money?
Just give me money.
So people are like, whoever wrote this note has to know that he recently got that amount of money specifically
and in an account.
One of their accounts.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, how would you know that he needs to pull it out of an account?
Right.
In 3 lines, it says, quote, the 2 gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them, end quote. And I advise you to be rested and don't try and grow a brain, John. Those phrases are very non-threatening. They're very kind of
why do you care how I feel first?
And it comes off as very feminine.
Yeah.
So a lot of people go, a man wouldn't write that. A man's never said, grow a brain, Al, or whatever.
A man is not going to care whether you're arrested or not. And these people are doing something to cause you so much chaos and pain. Why do they care if you're
Yes. And you're a big bad kidnapper. So why would you say these people don't particularly like you? So don't provoke them. Like, that's so stupid. One, it's too wordy, but 2, it's like, that is so meek. It's not scary at all. So a lot of people think, oh, this sounds like a woman wrote it.
I could see that. Yeah.
And naturally people think Patsy wrote it.
And because it's also, 3 fucking pages long.
Like, God, women talk. No man.
no man would write that. And no man would read that. That's why she got the note.
Exactly. So lastly, the lines, quote, we have your daughter in our possession, and, quote, the 2 gentlemen watching over your daughter, end quote, were both a little strange and kind of telling. So generally, the ransom note, as we mentioned, is short, to the point. I took your kid, give me money, go call cops.
Right.
But this is so incredibly long, and the more people write, the more telling about the individual it can be.
You're trying to, like,
You're overcompensating, exactly. So the line, we have your daughter in our possession, is redundant and it's stupid. Of course you have her in your possession. Why do you feel the need to write in our possession? Yeah. It kind of makes it seem like you are overcompensating because you don't have her, because there's no kidnapping.
Yeah, because when you try to add more information and detail, usually you're...
And that's what liars do.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're trying to flesh out your lie.
Yes. And then the phrase, 2 gentlemen watching over your daughter, got people weird, because generally, if you feel like it needs to be said, which it doesn't, you would say the 2 guys watching your daughter. The phrase watching over to a lot of
down
people,
on you.
It comes from a God standpoint. This is a very religious family.
Oh, okay.
And they think that it's in reference to God watching over someone being dead because you're dead.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't mention it the last time, SBTC at the end, it says victory, and that's who it's signed by. A lot of people think that could stand for Saved by the Cross.
Oh.
And they are a very religious family, so that would be fitting if you are on the train that the Ramseys specifically wrote this ransom note.
Okay.
I think you brought it up last time. People are like, some of the verbiage in this sounds very familiar.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's like a movie.
So nothing was ever directly quoted, but it seems that the writer got inspiration from Ruthless People, Ransom, Escape from New York, Speed, and Dirty Harry based on the verbiage that's used in it. So people are like, again, you're overcompensating. You're trying to make it sound legit from movies.
Like that's something that you would hear. Yeah.
As I mentioned, there's a billion other things. There's so many lines in the fucking ransom note. So if you guys enjoyed that part or you want to do a deeper dive, as I mentioned, go to statementanalysis.com and you can look at every single line in more detail. And then some other suspicious yet important things about the ransom note that are not related to the verbiage that was used is, as I've said 5,000 times, the note is so fucking long. It doesn't need to be long. The writer's weird. And according to retired FBI supervisory special agent / profiler, Jim Clemente.
Clemente.
Oh, I'm not good with these clementi. Anyway, according to this dude who's very official, this note would have taken the writer 21 and a half minutes to write. So if I break into a house that presumably I've never been inside of, maybe I have. It's a big fucking house. It's 7,200 square feet or whatever I said.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to take the time, instead of planning ahead of time, I'm going to decide in the moment that I need to handwrite this note and I need to do it all right now.
Yeah.
Also, they found a couple things. One is that there was a rough draft.
Oh.
It was only 4 words. So someone started writing, said, fuck, threw it away, and then wrote the actual ransom note. So that's weird. That shows a lack of planning.
Stupid. Yeah, because, like you said, this is a planned thing. So
presumably
be prepared with the note. Like, I'm going to be in and out.
The family is in the house. So you're going to take a kid while her family's there and then sit down for 21, at least probably 22 minutes and start writing your ransom note.
While you risk one of the parents waking up.
And the paper that it was written on and the Sharpie that it was written with were both from the house. The ransomers took it, wrote the note, and put it back.
Who would do that?
A woman.
That's true.
So people
no one else will clean up after themselves.
So people are like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
It does not.
And then lastly, after reading the ransom note, you guys heard, if you talk to a stray dog, you die. So basically they're like, don't fucking tell anyone.
Got it, yeah.
It's natural that someone would call the cops. You really don't have any other choice. You're not going to trust the kidnappers. It's presumed that anyone would call the cops.
Yes.
But if you were so worried about it, you would call the cops. You're probably racking your brain. Is this the right choice? Is this not?
Yes.
So instead of following that mindset, the Ramseys decided we're going to call the cops because we have to, but we're also going to call all of our friends and family. We're going to invite people over. Patsy actually went outside and waited for the cop car to come to the house. Didn't tell them, park in the back, walk up, park a couple streets down. They told them just to park in front of the house, to come inside. They waited for them. So if they were being watched, as the letter suggested, they did not give one shit. So either they didn't believe it was legitimate or they had a reason to not give a shit.
Right. Yeah, because why would you not want to adhere to those instructions if the potential for your daughter's life is at stake?
And it says if you talk to anyone, I'm beheading your daughter.
Right?
Like that specifically was you. So why the fuck would you risk that? Even if you're like, this doesn't seem legit because this is stupid and it's a run-on sentence, but I'm still not going to risk it. Like they gave no fucks.
Instead, I'm going to do exact opposite of everything you said.
Yeah. So now we're going to discuss the shit show investigation.
Okay.
The police investigation in this case was so fucking bad. And normally I try to give them a benefit of doubt. I try to give them a little bit of leniency, but in my opinion and everyone else's, it was terrible. And I believe personally that they are the reason, one of the many reasons that this case has never been solved.
Okay.
As I mentioned, after making the 911 call, Patsy then decided to call every single person she ever met. She invited Fleet White over, who was just one of the neighbors. They called the pastor over to come and give them some fucking relief or some shit. And then they called a whole bunch of other family members. Officer Rick French and Carl Veach were the ones who showed up. And originally they did a quick search of the house just to make sure that they didn't immediately see JonBenét anywhere.
Okay.
And then just to make sure as well that there was no obvious signs of forced entry. If someone is reported as missing or kidnapped or anything and it's a kid, you go into every single space where a tiny body could be and you check it.
You check
it twice.
You lock down everything.
Also that.
And then do
because
that.
a lot of times kids, especially for missing kids, this happens a million times where they are playing hide and seek or doing something, but then they hit that point where they realize, oh, I've gone too far. And now I know that they called the police and I'm going to get in trouble because I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So they panic and they don't want to come out.
I get that. And in a 7,200 square foot house,
there's so many fucking places for these people to hide.
I lost the cat and I found that bitch in the laundry bag.
You know how I don't think it would work for cats, but for dogs and children, you hit the doorbell because they'll bark. I locked Izzy in a closet.
My dog is deaf.
Long time ago, I was home alone. I locked Izzy in a closet. I didn't know. And I thought she ran outside because I got the mail. So I just rang the doorbell and then I heard her barking. Okay, so as I mentioned, they looked around. They had gone, or Officer French had gone down to the basement during the initial search. Okay. Because this is a 3-story fucking house.
Yep.
And he found that there was a wooden latch at the top of the door frame that locked the door from inside the house. So immediately he's just looking for entry and exit routes for the kidnappers.
Yeah.
It's locked from the inside. So there's no way a kidnapper could have gotten out that way and then closed and then locked it from the inside.
Gotcha.
So he's like, this is stupid. And he went upstairs.
That makes sense.
So at approximately 8 a.m.,
Yeah.
Detective Linda Arndt arrived at the house.
Okay.
At an unknown time shortly later, forensics showed up to the house believing that a kidnapping had occurred. And for whatever reason, protocol, lack of experience, who knows, they only sealed off JonBenét's room. The police and the detective allowed Fleet White, other family members, victim advocates, and the pastor to come in the house. Fleet brought Priscilla, his wife.
Was this everyone's first day on the job?
I must be, because Priscilla decided she was going to help. So she's cleaning the kitchen.
What?
Fuck. She's putting things away. She is destroying evidence. The family is walking back and forth. People are passing the ransom note. Did you read that? Let me read that. So they're getting their fingerprints on it. They're getting rid of so much fucking evidence, and the cops didn't say shit.
People are so fucking stupid.
And then at approximately 1 p.m., Detective Arndt decided that she needed to ask John and Fleet to go search the house to see if anything was amiss, because they would know best. If something's out of place, if something doesn't seem right. It is unclear whether the detective walked with them, but I don't believe that she did.
It sounds like she sent them on a mission to report
Which
back.
is not what you would do.
No.
I don't know if there's parameters like don't go in the bedroom because that's cordoned off, but the whole rest of the house fucking go crazy.
No.
So they're like, okay, let's go. So John and Fleet went downstairs. They decided to start in the basement,
Okay.
which is a red flag to me, but I don't know, as I mentioned, if they were given certain limits of where they could see.
Yeah, I feel like I would start with like the main living spaces.
Yeah, or upstairs where she was allegedly kidnapped from.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I will again post this on Patreon. This is the layout of the basement. It's a fucking
big
labyrinth
fucking
down there. So you go down the stairs and these are all these doors. So allegedly, they technically went down here. They went straight into the boiler room and then into the wine cellar. I don't know if they went to the rest of the fucking fuckery of this
I
landscape.
feel like that's a very weird direction to take as soon as you...
A little weird, right?
Yeah.
I would go to the bigger spaces, but whatever.
The hobby room, the places where that...
Oh, they did hit the hobby room at some point.
Oh, okay.
That's referred to as the train room.
Because I feel like that would be less scary for a kid to hide in.
Yeah, but I think they went to the hobby room, then the boiler room, then the wine cellar. They didn't go through all the rest of
storage
it.
areas. Okay.
But apparently there's boxes everywhere downstairs. Like it was filled with shit. Once they got into the wine cellar, that was when John discovered his daughter's dead body.
Oh.
She had been covered with a blanket.
Okay.
And instead of screaming, instead of
We
calling
found
for
her.
help,
Yeah.
instead of sending Fleet upstairs to say we found her, John picked her up, contaminating further evidence, brought her upstairs, and put her down in front of the Christmas tree in front of everybody.
The worst present ever.
And before I tell you, because we didn't go over this last time, if you found your dead kid and you brought her upstairs because you're an idiot, how would you carry her? Do you think?
I would scoop
Like
her.
farmer or fireman carry, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, having stroke. That's what I presumed until I read further. Do you want to know how John carried her?
Did he like throw over his shoulder?
No,
or
it's
something?
worse. There's a picture.
No.
That's how he carried her.
What?
So rigor mortis had set in. So her hands were above her head, and he picked her up facing him and held her at arm's distance and brought her up like that. Which is the most detached,
Cold.
inhuman thing to do. With this is your dead child. You don't know if she's dead, but technically you do because rigor mortis set in. But that's how it's like he's disgusted. And he's like, I just need to get her upstairs.
Everything about all of this is so wrong.
So yeah, he brought her upstairs and just like dropped her fucking in front of everybody. Police were like, shit, we got to call the coroner now. So they called the coroner, and I will tell you exactly what happened in part 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor. Do you live in the Bay Area? Are you in need of a CPR class for work or just to gain knowledge? Well, look no further because CPR Education has you covered. They host public classes every Saturday in Pleasant Hill, ranging from CPR and first aid, BLS for healthcare providers, infant essentials for new and expecting parents, and EMSA-approved courses for licensed childcare providers. Whatever need you have, CPR Education has a solution. Go to cpredu.com and use code CRACKED for 20% off any public class. That's CRACKED, and you'll get 20% off any class of your choosing. CPR Education, keeping people together.
Oh, how can they find us? Because this is the end of the episode, technically.
Oh, yeah. So this one's ending and you're going to have to pick back up for part 2. But you can reach out to us on our various social media platforms. We have Instagram. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us. We have an X. We have a Facebook. We have a TikTok. We have a Patreon. We have a website, crackssistersconspiracies.com. We also have an email that you can reach out to us at crackssistersconspiracies@gmail.com. But yes, come back for part 2 here live from Vegas. Woo, woo.
I will look completely different.
You will. Yes.
I'm getting my hair and makeup professionally done.
Transformation, and I will look like a swamp witch. So, yeah, with that, I'm going to say stay cracked, y'all.
And have a great day.